I'm going to preview the Baylor at number 11 Utah football game. The game will be played on September 7th at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on Fox. And as of this recording, Utah is favored by 14 points. I will make mention up front right now that Utah does have a few injuries that you should be aware of. The first one, Levani Demooney, the leading tackler from last year at linebacker, got hurt in the spring with a lower leg injury. He will not play in this game, from what it seems like. They also lost starting cornerback Keenan Johnson, a transfer from Georgia Tech, for the season with a leg injury. They also have an injury at defensive tackle. It's not the first string, but it's the second string guy, and you know how important it is for depth purposes at defensive tackle, and it's Aliki Vinamahi, Vimahi, with a lower body injury. It is not a season ending, but he will miss some time. That's just naming a few guys right there. If there's any more injuries that I didn't make mention, I apologize for that, and just comment below on the other injuries that I'm not aware of. So, Utah is, how to describe them is simple. They're a physical football team, for sure, with like a ball of razor blades coming right at you. I mean, it's just telling the truth. I mean, and I know they did win against Southern Utah 49-0. They did leave out some plays, though, on offense and defense. And kind of same thing goes for Baylor, too, and all this. So, it's just like a chess match. And the average offensive line weight, by the way, for Utah is 301.56 pounds, which is 16 guys. But that's not like necessarily the 2 deep, or even 3 deep. Because the 2 or 3 deep I looked is like 312.8 pounds. And Baylor's is like 310.18, repeating that, you know. And the defensive line weight for Utah, and I'm going to go over the key players in a minute. Some players to keep an eye on. And defensively, they like run like a 4.3 or 4.25. Defensive line average weight is like 271 pounds, which is 10 defensive line men and 9 defensive ends, by the way. But it's not necessarily like 2 or 3 deep. And it's like really 276.9 pounds. Or 276.88888889 pounds. But you get the whole point. And Baylor's is like 281 and 2/3. So they are bigger than Utah up front. That doesn't necessarily mean bigger always means better. Yes, it is an advantage to be good to be bigger, but that doesn't make you a great defensive lineman always. You gotta have the skills as well. But one thing you can't teach is size and all this. And Utah is like a multiple offense and all this. And I'll put the outlook on Utah in the description below so y'all can see it. Obviously, Cam Rising is back. As we all know, number 7, 6'2", 218 pound quarterback. That's a senior. Y'all can check out the stats below so I don't make it feel it as so long here. But you know what he did last time he really played. And this is his first Power 4 opponent since coming off the injury. And I have heard that from watching film, he did not look as fast as he was prior. That is to be expected. He's coming off of a knee injury. Well, I know they do have like Isaac Wilson. He's technically the second string guy, not Sam Heward like it was back in a preseason like I thought it would be. But you know, it is what it is. They do have Michael Bernard at running back coming back. He didn't play that much last year due to injuries. He's number 2, 6 foot, 206 pound running back. That's a senior. They do have Jalen Glover, number 1, 5 foot 8 inch, 205 pound running back. That's a junior. But actually, that really surprised me off the page is Dejon Stanley, number 23, 6 foot, 178 pound running back. That's a sophomore. When you look at the numbers from the last game, you'll know why in the terms of the receiving. And 2 of those touchdowns, both of them, wheel routes. So they do have like Anthony Edwards from Idaho, 5 foot, number 28, 5'10", 108-pound running back. That's a junior, but he didn't even play last. I don't think he even played last game, let alone carry the ball. So I wonder if there's something up with him. But they do have Damian Alford from Syracuse at wide receiver, number 9, 6'6", 210-pound wide receiver. That's a senior, but he did not even catch a single pass last game. You gotta keep that in mind in all this. And Dorian Singer, he was at USC last year, but prior to that, he was at Arizona. He had like over 1,000 yards receiving. In fact, over 1,100 yards to be exact, like 1,105. I mean, that's the thing. Number 3, 6 foot, 177-pound wide receiver. That's a senior. They do have Money Parks, a receiver as well. Number 10, 5'10", 175-pound wide receiver. That's a senior. They do have Manu McLean, number 4, 6'4", 217-pound wide receiver. That's a senior. Micah Pittman, like 2 years, he didn't play a lot last year because of injury, but he's still there. Number 5, 6 foot, 214-pound wide receiver. That's a senior. But obviously, this is the biggest I would consider a mismatch for Baylor potentially is Brent Keithy. He's back. I mean, number 80, 6'2", 229-pound tight end. That's a senior. And I know last time he really played it a full year, it's not as good as the prior year. But when you look beyond that year, like the years prior, he was really, really good. He's an NFL tight end. I'm telling you now, front, of course, Caleb Lohner's there. Number 81, 6'8", 235-pound tight end. That's a senior. He actually caught a touchdown pass, and I don't know about him playing in this game unless this game's a runaway. I'm just saying. And they do have Donald Bentley, number 88, 6'4", 262-pound tight end. That's a junior. And Miki Sugurutaruga, Suguturaga. I know I pretty much mentioned all the guys on offense stuff, but I'm not going to do that necessarily on the defense here. So, Kareem Reed is definitely the next guy to step up at linebacker for them. Number 21, 6 foot, 226-pound linebacker. That's a senior. There's Maya Vaughn, number 5, 6'2", 187-pound cornerback. That's a senior. They do have Alakali Gilman, number 11. He's a transfer from Stanford, actually, 5'10", 194-pound safety. That is a senior. They do have Landon Barden, the other linebacker, trying to help Lavani out. I mean, the loss of him. Number 8, 6'4", 236-pound linebacker. That's a sophomore. They do have Cheo Johnson, number 15, 6'1", 196-pound CB as a sophomore. They do have the best defensive lineman returning in terms of numbers from last year is two guys at 31 tackles each, and y'all can check out the rest, is Van Fillinger and Connor O'Toole. Van Fillinger is number 7, 6'4", 265-pound defensive end. That's a senior. There's Connor O'Toole. He's number 81, 6'4", 250-pound defensive end. That's a senior. They do have Kanu Tunasuvasa, Tanuvasa. I apologize if I butchered that. And there's Junior Tafuna, Tafuna, number 58, 6'3", 208-pound defensive tackle. That is a senior. Of course, they got Nate Ritchie. I didn't mention him before all this. Number 31, 6'2", 208-pound safety. That is a sophomore. I apologize for looking out because I cannot memorize all this stuff. And Jonathan Hall, number 10, 6 foot, 215-pound safety. That is a sophomore. And they got Logan Fano, like number 0, 6'4", 250-pound defensive end. That is a sophomore. There's Samote Peppa. That's probably like on a 2 or 3 deep. You need to know number 77. something like that. And I'll put the roster down in the description below as well. 6'3", 332-pound defensive tackle. That is a junior. And there's Tavita Fotu, number 99, 6'5", 299-pound defensive tackle. That's a senior. But I'm only going to mention this guy because he could be very well the guy that potentially replace Keenan Johnson. It's Smith Snowden, number 2, 5'10", 185-pound cornerback. That is a sophomore. And I know he did not do much in terms of tackles last year, but I'm just mentioning that name because that's what Kyle Whittingham said was one of the guys to potentially replace Keenan Johnson. In all this, and I'm going to double check if there's any other guys I need to know. I know. Oh, there's like Scooby Davis. I don't know the number on top of my head, and Cameron Calhoun. By the way, so I'm just gonna make mention of those two other guys in all this, and I'll definitely go over the numbers. I mean, like, what jersey do they wear? Yeah, Cameron Calhoun is number 4, by the way, while okay, so Scooby Davis is number 9, by the way. So I'm just only listing those two guys in case they do take over the position and all this, and they do return their special teams. Like, on the most common used kicker is Cole Becker, number 36, 6'3" and 235-pound kicker as a senior. And their punter from last year, Jack Meester, they're number 34, 6'2", 202-pound punter. That's a junior. So y'all could check that out in the description below. And what I perceive in terms of this game here, across the board, Baylor, you have no pressure on you. Basically, play your hair on fire. You got to be smarter, or you got to play a little bit cleaner. I'm not just talking about turnovers either. I'm talking about penalties. Point blank. You can't have like those after the play, personal foul on the defense or personal foul on the offense. Now, of course, you don't want personal foul targeting either. So you get the whole point. You gotta not be intimidated by the crowd at all, and you gotta make adjustments throughout the game, and not just first quarter, second quarter to third, and third to fourth, but first half to second half. I'm talking about drive to drive here. So you get the whole point about that situation. And I'm going to start with special teams that just really quickly. You got to be sound on special teams. Good punts, good kick returns, punt returns. Of course, you could just fair catch it and everything, you know. Just don't muff the punt. Don't have bad snaps. You got to protect. Got to have good blocking there just to make that quick. And everything. And every time there's a momentum shift, try to get back in your favor across the board as well. I'm just saying. Now, on offense, it's obvious that we have to be better in terms of take care of the football. You got to be smart with the decisions. But maybe I know what Dave Aranda did say, that they did held back like 50 to 40% of the plays on offense, so around that number. So they're going to have to be very creative to try to even move the ball against this Utah defense that is very stingy on the run defense. And I know they probably struggled with that because they didn't throw a lot of screens. So you might throw some more screens in this game. So you probably would expect that, or just to get the ball out quick. Because really, what I see as weakness for Utah's defense is quite simple. The secondary. They got torched last year. Point blank. And the pass rush a little bit. But you get the whole point. You got to protect the quarterback too. And you can't get set behind schedule, like have a bad snap and you got to land on the football and then lose yards. Or penalties. Because 2 times in that game last week, that set them back for the drive, if I'm being honest. And if DeQuan Finn needs to take off and run, go do it. Don't force it into coverage. I mean, that's the thing. And of course, there could be like some crossing routes as well. Not just the deep shots or the screens, but crossing routes. In this game. And you got to run block better. But it's a work in progress on the offensive line. Let's be clear. They rotated guys. And hopefully they do emerge on who's the starter at this particular position in the offensive line. It's just because that player said, you know what, I'm going to be this good to take over the starting job. I'm just telling the truth about it. And you got to create some holes and try to make the defense worry about DeQuan Finn's running ability in this game. Because having him adds an extra element for the defense to have to account for. Remember, last year against Utah, before Sir Robinson got hurt, he did hurt them a little bit. So, and that's before that ankle injury, the second half, and that's why Utah kind of came back to win this game, besides the run defense, but like Baylor's run defense. But you get the whole point here. It's just the truth. And you got to make contested catches. And just don't have critical drops in this game. And if you see a hit coming, and try to catch the football, secure it. That's the thing. And then go down. And you got to be good time management as well across the board, especially on offense. And this is a different style offense that Utah didn't even see last year. Let's just be honest. It's a totally different scheme, 180 degrees. It's more spread out. And then Michael Trigg needs to step up in this game. Ketron Jackson, maybe Hal Presley could step up, Ashton Hawkins, Monterey Baldwin. And hopefully Dominic Richardson does play in this game. He did not play last week, and Bryson Washington didn't play either, but it's not likely he's going to play. But hopefully Dominic Richardson does. I mean, that's the thing. I'm hoping he does. Because then that would add literally 3 running backs that are like oars on the running back chart, depth chart, and then DeQuan Finn as a runner. I mean, and DeQuan Finn does need to be better when there's no pressure in his face. That's why on the picks sometimes, one of those picks, and I know that it's kind of like the good of him. He's his running ability, and he can make some throws, but then he throws some picks in there, and he hopefully has learned from last week. And the same thing goes for the offensive line. And the offensive line definitely needs to find a way to keep him upright some in this game. So, and maybe Matthew Klopfenstein could step up at tight end, or even Kelsey Johnson. But I'm just saying the truth right there. And it's not just the offensive line and blocking, it's the wide receivers and the tight ends. You've got to run block. I mean, and I really do think that there is a way to move the football in Utah. I do. It's You gotta have to be creative and find ways. Maybe there's some jet sweeps that didn't even show last week, for all we know. I know Utah did hold some stuff back on defense. I know they did. And the same thing goes for the Utah offense. And now this goes to the defensive side of things. Get in the grill of Cam Rising, as in get pressure up in his face. Make him move. The dude has not played a P4 opponent since the Rose Bowl. And I'm not saying go get that guy hurt on purpose. I'm not. But make him feel you on a clean hit and not a penalty. Get it pressure in his face, and you got to obviously stop the run. And I know Utah did not run the ball as good as they wanted to last week. But they're probably going to change some things up and try to lead us astray possibly. But you get the whole point. You got to stop the run. That's what they're going to try to do. And then they might even throw a play action with 3 tight ends. Like Brent Keithy, I saw a highlight, pretended to run block and then go down the field. You got to be aware of that. You got to obviously take away him as much as possible. I wouldn't. And that Stanley guy, running back, I know he didn't do much in the running game last week. I know he did. But he had 3 receptions for 150 yards, including 2 touchdowns. So, you do need to slow down the run and all this. I'm not just talking about running backs, but Cam Rising. I know he might not be as fast as he used to. And Cam Rising did make some simple throws here and there. But not like a lot of, oh my God, throws and catches. But maybe they were holding some stuff back. I don't know. But you get the whole point. You do need to take away those easy throws away and make him beat you over the top. And obviously the corners do need to be better a little bit than last game because they got beat a few times. And I know they did give up a big run too, but one big run, and that's all they gave up last week against Tarleton State, to be honest. So, yeah, I'm just making that clear across the board. Take away the best pass catcher, stop the run, get the pressure on him to force mistakes and make him scramble around. And maybe if like pressure comes to his face, it like, oh, this guy's coming this way, I'm going this literally to my left, I have to go to my right, and then there's a guy there, then get him down. And you got to tackle well too. Brent Keithy's tough to take down. Look at the film last week. I mean, the game highlights last week. He's tough. I mean, you got to make sure whenever you get a chance to get picked off the ball, get an interception. And of course, if you can't get there necessarily, pass breakup. Whether it's like a defensive lineman doing it from the line of scrimmage, or linebackers, or even CBs. And of course, the same thing, like the offense needs to limit that as much as possible, to be clear too. I mean, you can't, and you got to be good on third down, both offensively and defensively. Especially on defense when, look, it's 3rd and long. I mean, try to find a way to get off the field. And the good news is, this year's defensive line, it seems like they are better than last year. But you cannot allow that many rushing yards as a year ago. It's point blank. Right there, and all this. And you got to play with the chip on your shoulder. And like, you're like a fighter pilot with all these weapons, and they're trying to, the people right across from you are trying to kill you. Do that before, then they do that before they do all that stuff to you. I mean, and make Utah uncomfortable on offense. And I know there was some turnover on the offensive line as well. I know that for Utah. They lost their starting center to Texas A&M. I mean, it's just the truth. And a few guys, but I know they're still going to be probably really good up front. But you get the whole point. They were a little different there. And I'm definitely going to show that like 2 or 3 deep in the description below. And I know they might not include all the injuries. Just only like the one, Levani DeMooney. But I know that's not the only one. Because that's what Kyle Whittingham said in his press conference. And regardless what if this is a result, You're going to learn a lot from this game. This is a step up in competition compared to last week. To Tarleton State. No offense to Tarleton State. Good FCS program, but they were without their quarterback last week. This is a whole totally different animal. They're number 11 in the country. You're playing them on the road. Listen, you got to win the time of possession if you can. Limit the penalties. Make your field goals. Don't have special team screw ups. And you got to be sound in all aspects of the game and try to play a clean game as much as possible. And let's go in there and don't let them push us around. Set the tone early. Start fast. Get their crowd to be silent. That's pretty much all I got to say about this football game right here. And worst case scenario, you're 1-1. And obviously, if somehow you were to win this game, that would really give us a momentum boost. And you're playing with confidence, especially this year that you're coming off of a win before you play Utah than last year when you lost to Texas State. And then you have to play Utah. And this is a revenge game, mind you. Baylor should have won that game a year ago against Utah. Let's be clear. They were up 13-3 at one point in the game, and Utah came back to win 20-13 in the scorching heat. And luckily, both of those guys at quarterback for Utah are gone that played all last year. So there's no guy necessarily that has a lot of experience right behind Cam Rising in this system of offense. And I know they do have guys that redshirted and everything, but it's one thing to redshirt and not play. It's another thing to play a lot of games and you're used to the system. So let's go in there, play with nothing to lose, and you have all the game. The pressure's on Utah. Go after them and get them uncomfortable. And you got in this game as much as possible. So anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button. See you guys later on the road to 7 subscribers. Of course, the ultimate goal is 1,000 or more. Some money out this course. So like the video, comment video really helps YouTube algorithm. Some more people see it. Sharing the video does help as well, so more people can watch. And if you're watching and not subscribed, hit subscribe buttons for the notification bell as well.